Okay, for this video I'm going to show you how to render a preview of an animation that looks like a final rendered version. This will save you time at the end of the class during week 5, because you will be assembling together pretty much a video showcasing all the animations that you created for the class. So that will allow you to just work ahead and not having to go back and re-render everything if you have it as an animation test that looks like a wireframe. Okay, so I would suggest to each assignment that you create in the class to give it a finalized version look with using the technique that I'm going to discuss next. Okay, so here's what you want to do. First of all, frame your animation, from start to end on the viewport. And this one is work in progress. As you can see, still it does not have squash and stretch. It's an import version from Maya that I just brought in quickly to show you how the technique works. But once this will be your final version, with the squash and stretch included, and the bounce and up and down. Okay. The first thing we need to do is change it to realistic so that we can see what we're going to be looking at, and create a floor plane. And let's take a quick look at how the preview will look. Tools, preview, grab viewport, and create preview animation. Okay, we have it there. It's kind of like the render settings window. So what you want to do is set up your animation from start to end on the frames that you have. In this case, the animation lasts 100 frames, and I think I already had it there. So it will be 100 over here. You could make it 100% on that so that you get pretty much the size of the full viewport. And on the display filter section, you might or might not have other things selected than geometry, so just turn them off so that we can only see any geometry, and we hide any of the controllers and the helpers that we have for the assignment. Okay, that way you don't see them on the final render. It's important to hide them because then you will have the more complete full render look. And AVI, you can leave it there, or if you do want to change it to an MOV, just come to custom file type, go to file, and on the type over here you just select it as an MOV, give it a name over here, and save. Okay, but in my case I'm gonna keep it as an AVI. If you do see a little bit of compression problems, that the image gets a little distorted, go and increase the compression quality. I'm going to show you what I mean by that. I'm going to lower mine so that you can see how it looks. I'm going to go create, and well, by the way, we're using the front view over here, so make sure that you get the same camera, and create. Let's if you get that message, let's go here, open view animation folder, and I'm just going to delete that one. Okay, and because sometimes it's probably open. Yeah, let's close it here. Yeah, though, if that happens, just delete that one, and also close any previews that you might be playing with media player. So just close anything you have there, and let's try again. Okay, it should work now, and let's go create, and now it works. What happens is if the animation, if 3D Studio Max tries to override an animation that is open already, since it has the same name as default, it will give you that error message. So deleting the previous file will do the trick. Okay, see how the quality is a little bit, I would say it's not looking all that great, right? So let's go back and fix it. Okay, let's first of all make sure this is what we're supposed to be seeing, and we're not. So let's go tools, preview, create preview animation, and let's change this to 50. Sometimes that will help. And on the what was it, the compression over here as an AVI. Put it to over there, 100%, okay, and say okay. Let's see how it looks again. Let's hit create. So you can see it's looking like it's rendering. Looking a little bit better. If you kept it at 100%, that way we had it before, it will most likely look twice as big in size. Let's see if I can make it bigger, like that. It will probably look, you know, much bigger than that. But the quality, notice how much, you know, we don't have that broken image that we had before. And now there's a big problem happening, other than that it's work in progress and doesn't have the squash and stretch. You know, the manipulators, the controllers are not, the helpers are not showing. That's great. We have a shaded view, but it's kind of looking, it's floating in the air. We need a reference plane. So let's add it so that we can see when the ball bounces that that is stepping on something, right? You don't want it to be floating in mid-air. So I just went here on the standard primitives and created a box. Okay, create menu, the first option there, standard primitives and box, and then click and drag. That creates the, you know, the box. If you don't like the colors, just click here and change it to something else. Be careful to not put the you know, if you get a color that's super bright for that front box that we just created, it might end up looking like the focal point, right? So that I would suggest to keep it shaded like a gray color, so that it kind of blends more with the background as well as the sphere, and the sphere will catch more interest because it's the moving object. Okay, when you create your ground box there, make sure that you don't see any of the edges on the sides or the bottom edges over here. The idea is to give the illusion of a bigger environment rather than a floating block or a piece of geometry there. Okay, that's something that employers like to see. You know, that's something that looks final, that creates the illusion of a bigger environment, because that is a practice that is done in the industry you know, many times. They say, why model a room when entirely when you're only going to see 2 or 3 of the walls of the room? So that creates more rendering time, you know, more complications on the scene, and it gives you a better chance to make renders lighter. Okay, so right here I'm going to see how it works. Make sure that when you put your plane, you know, that box that we just created, which is the floor plane, that it bounces on it, not goes through it. Okay, like the way it was before, it was kind of going like that, so it looks like it kind of goes through it. So make sure that, you know, you kind of briefly touch that, you know, the sphere gently touches the you know, the bottom of the bottom touches the you know, the floor plane. If there's any problems with any of the positions, you know, like this one here that looks kind of high, you can always rekey the y-axis for that one with the same controllers that you created your movement. Just redo that keyframe. That's all you have to do. You know, just set it again, and it will correct it, you know, on that position. Like the here, you know, right here, it looks like it floats a little bit, so, you know, I can just say key and make it, you know, stay there. Then I'll have to check everything else too. And in this case, I am using a I'm keying it on the actual sphere, but you're gonna do it on the controllers that you use to create the curves. Okay, this is for this example only. Okay, and once you finish, I think you have your floor, you have your sphere, it's moving, it's bouncing. Let's take a look how it looks. Tools, preview, create preview animation. Let's make it 100% over here so that you can see how big it gets. And on the compression, let's keep it at 100 here too, so that you can see the difference. And let's go create again. There's that problem, that error message again. Remember, we had that before. We had this one open right? That's the preview file. Let's see if that fixes the problem. Tools, viewport, create. There you go. Just make sure that you don't have the file open, and if needed, delete the one on the folder, so that way you have the latest version there. It looks like it's rendering, and there it is. You know, you have your floor plane, you have no controller showing, you have a full rendered version, or the look of a full render. So that's how you will create the the final versions for each project that you do in the class. It's still a test, preview render. So it's a light version that you can render, but it does have the look of a full render, which is going to be even better for you, because then you don't have to re-render all these projects for week 5. Okay, so I hope this helps you save time, and look forward to seeing you applying these to every single project we have.